Yo, what's good, YouTube family? We back with a double feature, double banger for y'all. We got another reaction. Shia LaBeouf says Jesus saved me, and exposes all the Hollywood elites. You know we'll never do too much talking on this channel, so let's get into this video.
I would smoke weed and not get high. I would just be worse off than I was before. Or I would drink and I wouldn't get drunk. Or I would have sex with random women and I wouldn't feel any joy. There was none of the things I was doing to fill that human instinct were being fulfilled.
Indiana Jones, the trilogy of Transformers, Disturbia, and Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
These are just a few among the important films you took part in.
Yeah, these are the big money movies. These are the international movies that may have
Yeah, those films was legendary. No cap.
come here. But these movies don't mean anything. They have no intrinsic value. They have no spirit. They don't mean anything. Entertainment. All these movies, I have big shame about these movies. They don't mean anything. I don't want to act no more. I'm not interested in making movies, really.
I was kind of wondering what happened to Shia LaBeouf at one point. He just up and disappeared. This is what happened. He found Jesus.
I think my God is very intelligent. My God used my weaknesses to bring me closer to him. And I felt like I was living a life that was meaningless. And so I drank a lot and smoked a lot of weed, very lascivious with women, and was trying to like fill a hole, just constantly chasing instincts, just like an animal.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store.
I'm good,
preloaded
buddy.
with
I appreciate you.
And thought I was in control of things. And I was in an industry that would applaud that. And so I would come to set and I would freak out in front of a camera, ooh, and people would clap. And then I'd go home and I'd be a crazy person. And I hurt people, was a big sinner in my life. And grew up believing that that was the way. And then
Yo, this is heavy, y'all. If y'all don't understand what's going on, like he putting it all on the table. All on the table. Let's go, Shia LaBeouf. Shout out to Shia LaBeouf, yo.
all of the things that I used to use to fill my that emptiness up stopped working. And then I didn't want to be alive anymore.
Wow.
So in the States, we have something called Zoom. I don't know if you have it. And I had a producer. I had gotten arrested in Georgia for fighting with a policeman.
So he said the States. Where is he, like in Israel or something like that?
The producer was arrested.
No, I was arrested making a movie in Georgia for fighting with a policeman. And on that movie was a producer who was in a spiritual program that helps people who have a problem with alcohol. And he told me to go on this meeting. So I go on this meeting and I see 50 men smiling and laughing. And that's my first sign of God, is laughter. And so I listen, because I don't have any laughter in my life. And I see they're laughing with each other, and they have friendships, and they have camaraderie, and they have this fraternity. And I feel like, ooh, this is like a family. I had been making these movies all this time to build a family, making money to get a family, but my family was disaster, and I'm seeing a family, and I had tried to do this before, but this time I had none of the tools that used to bring me joy or fill that hole up worked anymore. And
You could even tell something's different with him. He don't look, if you look into his eyes before, he looked sad. He always was angry. Now he looking like he's at peace with himself. Facts.
And one of these men in the meeting, he says, we all share, everybody shares in the meeting. And one of the men in the meeting says, you don't have everything you want, but you have everything you need right now. And he says, if you have God in your life, you're playing with loaded dice. God cheats in your favor. I'm going to this meeting a couple days, and finally my spiritual guidance, my friend, my partner online, says, come meet me at the beach. And I have no God in my life, because my idea of God is just fear. And this man is talking from a fearless place, so I believe him. And he points at the ocean, at the waves, and he says, I know you don't believe in God, that's okay. So why don't you just try to stop the waves? I said, what do you think, I'm stupid? Like, okay, yeah, I know I can't stop the waves. I'm not an idiot. Okay. He says, I know. Oh, wait. He says, I know you can't, I know you don't believe in God, that's okay, but your life is terrible. Your life sucks. The way you've been leading it is a disaster. Your life is a disaster. And I know he's right, and so I'm willing, because I'm in pain. And I say, stop waves, and the waves don't stop. And he says, no, put your back into it, really try. And I say, stop waves, and they don't stop. And he says, I just want you to pray to the waves until God shows up. And so I do. And then a month later, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe a month and a half later, I'm on my meeting, and Abel Ferreira asks me if I know about Padre Pio.
So from that moment, there was a new research of God, and
No.
faith started.
No, because I'm still a narcissist. Just looking at Padre Pio like, oh, this is another opportunity to make a movie.
Who is Jesus Christ for you?
Lord, the Redeemer, Savior, like a best friend.
Shia LaBeouf is one of the most famous actors of the millennial generation, playing leading roles in some of the biggest movies of the early and mid-2000s, like Transformers and Indiana Jones. He's not acting much anymore, and frankly, how could he after he just completely and unashamedly bashed the emptiness of Hollywood in the clip?
Yeah, he got real heavy. This not even done. He getting heavy. He about to get stupid heavy on them.
Clips I just showed you, but the 38-year-old father of one's got over 60 acting roles under his belt, as well as writing, producing, and directing, and a net worth in the tens of millions. However, Shia's also known for some of his crazy public stunts, legal issues, and performative art, but I bet before this point you didn't know how serious he recently got about his faith. Even in the midst of his very public struggles, thoughts of depression and self-harm, God clearly was not done with Shia. These clips I've just shown you are from an unbelievably insightful and emotional series of interviews that Shia did after the release of his 2022 film Padre Pio, where he depicts the fiery Catholic priest/saint. It turns out that God used this role to lead Shia to Christ, and we are
I'm telling you, God be working in mysterious ways, man. That one role got him up out of Hollywood and changed his whole life.
absolutely all about that here on Make Faith Famous. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into it.
How would you describe yourself now, the new Shia LaBeouf?
I'm very loved by God. I know that, and I want to love God better, and so I'm trying to live a more righteous life. There's things I need to change, and I'm working on it. And I feel like now my life has purpose. You know, I used to manipulate a lot, you know, and I used to lie a lot, and I don't want to do that, and so I get scared sometimes to be emotional. The things that kept me from the faith would be things that my logic couldn't reason around. Jonah in the whale. Stories like that are a different genre of the Bible, I would use to pick apart the whole Bible. I would discount the beauty of the forest because of the ugliness of some of its trees. And then pain makes you willing.
The days of putting your career on hold to earn your MBA are over. With the fully online MBA
To stop arguing because joy feels good. And so through Pio, I'm able to look at the Gospels from a different perspective, less as an antagonist who's trying to pick the thing apart, and more of a believer. And now that I have felt, faith comes when you know. Faith and belief are different words. Belief is when you're willing to know. Faith is when you really know. I have no right to laugh and smile and joke like I do. My life on paper doesn't make sense that I laugh like I do. That's only because of God. When I go to church, I feel lighter. My wife is open to being baptized. My child will be baptized. I'd like to come here and have my child baptized here. I have relationships with religious men now that I didn't have before.
And isn't that just wonderful? Now, I've really dug deep to find these interviews and structure them together in a powerful way. So if you're at this point of the video, two quick things to say. One, please consider showing some love in the comments. And two, a little PSA that we have these beautiful new Make Faith Famous hats now. They've got Matthew 5:16 on the back, which is a verse about being a light to the world as Christians, and I'm so excited to finally share these with you. You can find the link to them wearing these across the globe.
A higher power. I was looking for something I could hold on to, something I could really hang my hat on, and this call from Abel came at this.
Yo, that's crazy. When I skipped to this, I thought it was somebody totally different, but it's Shia LaBeouf. That's crazy. He looks real different.
Converged at the same time that I really wasn't interested in acting, so I'd given up on trying to be an actor. I was really going to go get a job at Home Depot and, like, trim bonsai trees.
Wow.
I was straight out of rehab. I was sort of aimlessly driving around the country, living in my truck because I didn't want to go home because my house was empty. My wife wasn't with me. I had no family. My family wouldn't talk to me. I had no friends. My friends had abandoned me. I was full of shame and spiraling into a very dark place when the call came in. So because of the amount of pain I was involved in, and suffering that was going on in my life, aimless suffering, mind you, didn't really know what the point of the suffering was. I was living in deep resentment and regret and shame. And then this came to my doorstep, and it felt like, even before I knew about Christ and how he works or PO or any of this, it felt like something from on high. It felt like celestial mathematics or something I really couldn't actually. The coincidence of it all felt almost supernatural.
What an incredible testimony, right? And how common is that? You hear about these people who are seemingly on the outside, just absolutely on top of the world, but on the inside, in their private lives, the complete opposite is true. And God reaches these people in their darkest places when they've got nothing left to give. And God gave Shia, through completely supernatural, like, coincidence or whatever it is, a real God-fearing discipling community, which he speaks more about here. Let's listen in.
Hanging out with all of these men, talking about the gospel, asking them ridiculous, stupid questions. I mean, very secular questions, Do you guys smoke weed? Why don't you masturbate? Things that are questions that under normal circumstances you couldn't ask a priest. But these were questions I was asking of my friends, which allowed me to get even more into the marrow of the bone.
He says those are questions you don't ask a priest, but my family are preachers, and man, they welcome those type of questions, man, and stuff that's even deeper than that. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Because if a person doesn't feel comfortable talking to you as a pastor, they can, if they, like he just said, if they can't bring that type of stuff to you, then honestly, what's really the point of them being your pastor? So yeah.
Ask even more severe questions that were kind of socially uncouth, questions that I needed answered for myself. Do you ever have bouts where you feel like you're talking to yourself in your prayer? Do you ever hear the voice of God? What does that sound like? Do you have audible hallucinations?
Man, he asking all the right questions. That's a fact. Them questions is not stupid. I feel like no question is stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the reason for a question is because you want to know. That's all it is. He's asking all the right questions.
Do you feel schizophrenic as opposed to a religious person? Questions that a secular person would ask of a friar in a way where it almost felt like I was asking family at that point. That was my faith journey, and really my way into playing Pio was falling in love with Christ in a very real way.
And these next clips, and I don't know why he's always recording these from his car, but more power to him, show just how deeply he fell in with God, with Christ. I know there will be plenty of Christians' comments criticizing him for getting into Catholicism, but I just want us to put aside those divides for a minute and really hear what I can only conclude is a
Catholicism, I'm guessing that's Catholic. I don't know, like, because I know that Catholics don't be doing things that's right, you know. It's a lot of wicked stuff going in Catholicism. So, I mean, but he's on the right path. He's on the right path. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I asked my mom one time about about being a Christian, and she was saying that, you know, the Christian is it's the right spiritual journey to embark, right? Um, so I said, so what about Buddhism and all these other religions? Like, if they really following God and they in a different country, like how would they know that Christianity is the real, you know, the real deal? And she said that God is gonna eventually find that person and you know, show them the light, show them the real facts. I'm just talking, y'all.
genuine broken heart for Jesus. Listen to this and let me know what you think.
You know, for a flawed man like me to fall all the way in love with Christ, it's
Cannabis. It's not just legal in 38 states. It's a $36 billion global industry. And it's growing.
almost
Oh yeah, so real quick. Another reason why Catholicism, which is Catholics, I'm guessing. Another reason why that it's not good. Being Catholic is not good because they pray to statues and they worship statues, and God don't like that. He definitely don't like that.
you know, it's almost a it's almost a statistic. I almost have become like you know, what I always railed against. It's almost cheesy how real it's become for me. Um, and if I wasn't me and I was on the outside looking in, of course he had to come to Jesus moment. Of course, you know, I get I get the rolling of the eyes from the nons or the non-believers or the atheistics. You know, I understand because I was that. Um, but it's what happened, and to deny it is not real. I mean, this saved my life. This isn't just a film for me. This was an opportunity to fall in and have an all access pass to the gospel and the church and Christ in a way that I've never, though it was available, I had never had the instinct or the compunction to do so.
Do you think I've noticed that just when you find God, you feel like you know yourself better. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you know yourself better now that you
Yeah, I
that
had
you
no idea who I was previous. I mean, I was just living for more achievement, more goals, more animal instinct, pleasure seeking, selfish, self centered, dishonest, completely inconsiderate of other people. If I was a nice guy, it was for an end. I had no charity in my life. There was no, I was a tolerant man. You know, these things aren't Christian. You know, tolerance is a strictly Jewish thing. Uh, full blown.
I'm confused. Catholicism, and he just said these things are not Christian. Am I wrong? Like, I don't know.
Acceptance is a Christian thing, and when you really ride with that, you know, life is a joy. It's a pleasure. Even the tough stuff feels like a gift. It's like a hack. It's like a complete suffering hack. So once you've gotten the hack, once you feel fully embraced by God, there is no suffering. I mean, even the suffering feels like a gift. That's not in a masochistic sense, but in a purposeful sense. So I was blessed in the way that I entered the faith, um, and the way I was seduced into my love affair with Christ. It was a full-blown seduction, front to back, and I'm still in it. I guess my message.
All right, guys. So I'm looking it up. So Catholicism is a major branch of Christianity, encompassing the traditions, beliefs, and practices of the Catholic Church, including its theology, liturgy, morals, and spirituality, with the Pope and its leaders. You can't be Christian and Catholic at the same time. That's not how that works. It's not how that works at all. How you gonna be Christian but be practicing Catholic stuff? Okay.
To a non-believer would be, I wish you profound extended pain, the kind of pain that destroys all your plans, that allows you to open up to an incredible life.
You know what, y'all? I'm gonna stop the video right there. Like, I'm just gonna end that because what he's saying, and yo, shout out to him. Like, it seemed like he's on the right path. But what I just read, Christianity with the Catholic, and nah, bro, that don't make no sense. And I'm not trying to spend nobody and no, you know what I'm saying? That's not what we're here for. We're not here to direct people in the wrong direction. And I feel like that's what's going on right now. So yeah, we're not gonna continue that. So yo, you already know what it is. It's your boy Fame back with a double banger year, and we about to sign out on that note. Shout out Shia LaBeouf. You know what I mean? God bless that man, and wish him nothing but the best. Nothing but the best. Facts. We off this, y'all.